NBA superstar LeBron James has been forced to clarify his remarks on the WNBA talent Brittany Griner's situation after some serious criticism. And while we think James was mostly concerned about how the star is doing, the way he phrased everything just didn't sit too well with the fans. Keep watching this video as we tell you everything LeBron said about the WNBA star's Russian nightmare.
But first, a reminder about our brand new giveaway. We're giving away a PS5 with a copy of NBA 2K22 and Madden 22. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.
First up, let's talk about what LeBron said. This might end up sounding a bit controversial, but we think people are sort of overreacting here. It's pretty obvious LeBron is concerned with how the WNBA star is doing. That's literally the reason why he said all those things in the first place. But some people always have to twist things and make them political. Anyway, all LeBron said was that he felt the American authorities weren't doing enough to bring Griner home. It's been almost 5 months now since she was first arrested by Russian police after they found traces of drugs on her vape equipment. US authorities claim she's been wrongfully arrested, but that's probably the only thing we've gotten from them. And apart from that one statement, things have been awfully quiet. Now, how can she feel like America has her back? I would be feeling this. Do I even want to go back to America? He has a point, to be honest. Unless there's been some backdoor negotiations going on, we've heard almost nothing from the authorities about bringing Griner home. But anyway, it was probably these last 2 lines LeBron said that landed him in some serious trouble and forced a clarification out of him. And if you watched the trailer, you can literally see how upset James looks. It's obvious he's worried about her. So at the end of the day, we think LeBron got a bit emotional and probably couldn't string together a more appropriate sentence to express how he felt. And it isn't like this is the first time he's talking about her either. James also tweeted in support of the WNBA star back in June, urging other athletes to come together and do everything they possibly can to get her back home safely. But we really don't know what to say here. Griner did plead guilty to not only possessing, but also the intent of smuggling drugs into the country, so she'll probably have to go through the whole legal process before we get a clearer picture of what's going on. While she did issue a statement afterwards saying it was unintentional, we can't ignore the fact that Russian security found hash oil in her vape cartridges. Up next, LeBron's clarification. After coping with a tremendous amount of criticism, James ultimately had to clear the air and tell people what he really meant when he said all that. And since the majority of people thought LeBron was taking shots at America, he started by addressing that first. Talking to Twitter, the King wrote how his recent comments on Brittany Griner weren't knocking our beautiful country. He was simply trying to address the fact that it's possible Griner may feel this way, considering how long she's been locked away without the slightest hope. Isn't that what we said in the first place? Like, come on guys, he's one of the finest players in the history of the sport, having represented America on almost every level. He's never called out the authorities for not doing enough or something, and even though that's pretty much exactly what he said, we have to understand how emotional he must be. Think about it. Griner has been in a tiny cage for almost 100 days now. She was literally detained a few days before Russian soldiers invaded Ukraine. But anyway, we think it'll be much better to put what he said behind us and focus on what's more important, joining voices and making sure Griner gets home soon. Oh, and you can also play your part by signing a petition and sharing pictures to encourage President Biden to take action and get the Olympic champion home. But what if it were James? Phoenix Mercury coach Vanessa Nygaard has put forward a really interesting yet delicate statement, claiming things would have been much different if it were LeBron who had been detained. She actually thinks he would have been home by now, or in other words, people would have been more active in getting the superstar back home. We're not really sure what to make of that, considering how this isn't the best time to be making comparisons. But we have to acknowledge again and again that this is an emotional situation for everyone involved. She is Griner's coach after all, so we can sort of imagine how she must be feeling. Still, we can't help but wonder why things are being blown blown out of context here. Brittany is a world-class basketball player, true, but at the end of the day, she's just a normal person like everyone else. Bringing up how she's a gay black woman detained in Russia as the reason why things are taking so long isn't necessarily going to help. It's only going to make things worse. And we think when Vanessa said all that, she made things 100 times more complicated. Don't get us wrong, we're not saying she isn't right or something. It just isn't the right time to get into the details. Anyway, we're really hopeful something good will come out of all this. A lot of international athletes are joining hands to raise their voice for Brittany, because really, 10 years for like 0.7 grams of hash oil doesn't really make sense. Time for some related news. Next up, he's not the GOAT. Since we're on the topic of LeBron James, let's tell you what his former teammate Ray Allen had to say about the whole GOAT debate. Despite winning an NBA championship with King James, Ray Allen doesn't think LeBron is the greatest player of all time. Ray talked about how LeBron can do everything, like pass the ball, make plays, and nail three-pointers. But is he a better three-point shooter than Curry? Or is he a better playmaker than James Harden? No, right? So how can he possibly be the GOAT if he isn't even the best in these categories? And you know what was really funny about all this? Allen actually debunked the theory on a video he posted on TikTok. Anyway, when it comes to the GOAT discussion, Ray is a classic man and shares the same opinion as us. The greatest player to ever grace the game of basketball is without a doubt MJ23. Believe it or not, Allen actually talked about how he was scared out of his mind when his team went up against Jordan's Chicago Bulls back in 1997. We're guessing game recognizes game. Now let's turn our attention to Miles Bridges. One of the biggest names in this year's free agency was Miles Bridges. The Charlotte Hornets expected to receive a lot of offers for the rising superstar, but with signings and biddings already in play, Bridges is yet to receive a single offer, and that's probably because he was arrested on a felony of domestic abuse earlier this month. And even though the 24-year-old walked out of jail on the same evening after paying a $130,000 bond, we think his basketball career is over. His wife shared some gruesome photos of the injuries Miles allegedly inflicted on her during their time together. Fractured bones, contusions, bruises, and even a concussion. The Charlotte Hornets released a statement saying they're well aware of what's going on and waiting for more information to comment on the matter. His arraignment is scheduled on the 20th of July, and we reckon it'll be a really long case before a final verdict is announced. General Manager Mitch Kupchak is positive Miles will be proven innocent, and that fans will get to see him rocking the Hornets jersey once again in the near future. We really don't want to comment on the matter, but from how things are looking, he's found himself in a really bad spot. And finally, is Durant the domino? Now we already know the Nets want to trade both Durant and Irving, but what's holding them back? Like, we get the whole Durant thing. Teams just don't want him because if he's costing you your top 2 or 3 players, then he becomes less valuable to the organization. So that's why he's yet to find a new home for the next season. But what about Kyrie in all of this? Why aren't the Nets taking offers for him yet? Well, rumor is they actually want to get done with a Durant trade before moving on to Irving. So if you think about it, once Durant gets a deal, the free agency will literally go into a mode of complete frenzy as teams rush to get Irving on board. Anyway, both the Heat and Suns have expressed an interest in Durant, but they're waiting things out since Brooklyn is asking for a bit too much. If we had to guess, we think Durant will probably end up at Miami, since they've obviously been more aggressive than Phoenix in their pursuit of the 32-year-old. That's it from our side, folks. So what do you think? Are people overreacting to what James said about Griner? Has the situation become too political? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.